So why can't I just pay somebody to win these games for me? Pacifica Northwest pouted, jigging the joystick and frowning at the console screen. Ha! Mabel glanced sideways from her game controller. Good one, Pacifica. Oh, wait, you weren't joking, were you? Should I say, like smiley face, before I make a joke so you can tell? Yeah. That would help. And oh smiley face, Pacifica replied as her game made the discouraging you lost sound of deedle-dum-dee-dum-dum. Seriously, this is so boring. Well, don't play Petty Larceny Auto, Mabel suggested. This one's better. It's called Charade. In it you shop for shoes. But I have people to do that for me, Pacifica complained, standing behind Mabel to watch. Let's do something else. It smells like boys' deodorant and feet in here. On a weekday afternoon in July, the arcade wasn't nearly full, but even with only a dozen kids at the consoles the racket filled the air, dings and bleeps, buzzes and the skid of tires, machine gun fire and the chuckle of friendly little elves, depending on what was being played. Just a second, Mabel said, her tongue lodged in the corner of her mouth. Gotta get to the counter first. Come on, run up the down escalator. Yes. Sales table. Fight my way through these screaming middle-aged women, ha. Those ballet flats are mine, sucka. New high score. New high score. She manipulated the joystick to enter her initials as Pacifica tapped her foot impatiently. Map? So what's your middle name? The A's not my middle name, silly, Mabel chuckled. It stands for awesome. She turned away from the game and leaned on the console, fanning her face with both hands. Phew. That was intense. You wanna try this one? No, thank you, Pacifica said. I just don't see the attraction. Mabel shrugged. Okay. People like different things. Next let's do something you like to do. What's that? Well, ride my pony. Dance with a hot boy. Read the financial section of the newspaper. What? You don't like to do any kid-type stuff? You ought to do some retroactive silly things, Pacifica. We're 13. We won't be able to get away with kid stuff for much longer. Do it before it's too late. Do it. Do it. Do it. Pacifica interrupted her chant. Sheesh, calm down. Let's go have a soda or something. Okay. But not a Pits. Oh, man. You really have a limited definition of fun, Pacifica. Well, if you had my family, you'd understand. A few minutes later they sat in the soda shop, sipping on their drinks, a coconuts fizz for Mabel and a chocolate frappe for Pacifica. Having a good summer? Mabel asked between gulps. Pacifica shrugged. SOSO. I actually like our new house out in the country. Dad's not leaning on me so hard now, he's trying to rebuild his fortune, and he's always busy at the office. Mom's mom. If I'm not bleeding from my ears and nose, she assumes I'm happy. She sighed. I miss my other ponies. I mean, Desperado is the best one of the bunch, and I got to keep him, but we had to sell the others. And then I guess I found out that some of my friends liked my money better than they liked me. Dad sold the big boat, so now when we go to the lake, we just swim, and suddenly Brittany and the other girls are always too busy to go with me. I'll go to the beach with you sometime, Mabel said. And so would Dipper, I bet. And maybe Grenda and Candy. But they're a little scared of you. Pacifica gave her a sharp look. Scared of me? What's that supposed to mean? Well, you remember last summer? You know, you won the dance-off and the party crown? And you kinda made fun of them. Pacifica sighed. Yes, I guess I did. Before all that crazy ghost stuff happened, it was hard for me to think of other people as being people, really. Yeah, Mabel said. Poor Sergey. Oh, he's okay, Pacifica said. He escaped from the miniature golf course eventually. Bill Cipher captured him during the never mind about all that, but he was freed with the others. I think he's gone to New York. He wants to be a dancer in a Broadway show for some weird reason. Well, you intimidated Grenda and Candy. Tell them I'm sorry, okay? I'm ruining your day too, now, aren't I? I'd probably better go home. What? The day is young. Hey, speaking of Sergey, how about a round of miniature golf? No cheating this time. No, thank you. With a shiver, Pacifica said, those little golf ball people weird me out. And Dad's lawyer said I couldn't even sue them, 'cause they're not human. Yeah, I had the same problem with gnomes, Mabel said. Attempted kidnapping, but I let it blow over. Grumplestan doubted that any lawyer would touch the case, and even if we won, he said, gnomes don't have any money to pay damages. And I actually sort of like them now. I mean, I wouldn't want to marry a bunch of them, but they're really okay down deep. You are a strange girl, Pacifica said. Thank you. They both laughed. Sometimes I wish I could trade places with you, Pacifica admitted with a shake of her head. I mean, get to stay at the shack, no rules, people who'd really pay attention to me at home, all that junk. Your great-uncle was really kind to me when we all had to shelter there from Bill Cipher and all his craziness. Plus, I'd like the chance to hang around with Dipper and all. I shouldn't tell you this, but I kind of had a crush on him for a little while there. It's so strange. I don't understand it myself. He's not the kind of boy I'm attracted to at all, not tall, not really good-looking, not a smooth dancer, and he dresses, well, you know. Preachin' to the choir, sister, Mabel said. I don't know how many cool sweaters I've knitted for him. Dozens. I think he wore 2 of them, one time each. And he still wears the same clothes for too many days at a time. She sipped the last of her soda and then asked, so, you're not interested in him any longer? Unhappily, Pacifica shrugged. Oh, I don't know. Not romantically, I guess, but I'm kind of wondering about him. He can be so sweet sometimes. And brave. And he's kind of a dork, but smart. Yep, you got him pegged. I mean, I love him like a brother, but he's such a nerd sometimes. Not like me. Just between you and me, I can sometimes get a little silly, Mabel said, jamming 2 soda straws up her nose. Pacifica stared at her. No. It's true. Mabel pinched her nose and was able to produce a sustained C note through the straws. Ouchie. She took them out, a couple of tears leaking from her eyes. Worth it. Anyway, Dipper is hardly ever silly. Too serious, most of the time, that's his trouble. So, you know, together we balance out. He gives me a dose of reality when I need it, and I drive him nuts when he needs it. She rubbed her nose. That's gonna sting for a while, she said. I've never in my life ridden a pony. Is it fun? I love it. Desperado is the best of all the ones I've ever had. He really enjoys running all out, and it's very exciting to be in the saddle. You know, I really do love animals. Just a skin, Pacifica, but would you really like to trade places with me? Like for just one day? Oh, sure, like that could happen, Pacifica said, smiling. Well, Mabel said with a wicked grin, there is this carpet. When they got to the shack, Wendy told them that Dipper was off in the woods somewhere, trying to track down the elusive and fabled Venus woodpecker trap, a carnivorous plant that grew to huge size and lived on attracting, ingesting, and absorbing woodpeckers. They found Seuss making new labels for some of the exhibits. As usual, he greeted them cheerfully, "Sup, dogs?" Mabel said, "Seuss, I'm real worried about Dipper. I think he's planning some strange experiment with that body-switching carpet, remember? The one that put you into Waddle's body for a while." Whoosh, dude, how could I forget? Even though parts of it were a lot of fun. Not the part where Old Man McGucket wanted to turn me into bacon, though. So why's Dipper wantin' to fool with that thing? Who knows? Mabel asked. But you won't let him get it, will you? No way, Jose. Seuss shrugged. But don't worry about it, Hambone. It's like hidden where he can never find it. I don't know, Mabel said. Dipper's pretty good at finding things. Yeah, but Stan rolled it up and stuck it in the attic storage closet, Seuss said. That thing is like triple locked. And the keys are hidden well? Mabel asked. Oh, sure. I like taped M to the bottom of the cash register drawer. Nobody'll ever find M there. Good work, Seuss. High five. Pacifica said, yeah, you're like some kind of savant genius, Seuss. It's a blessing and a curse, Seuss said solemnly. Hey, Pacifica, high five? Don't leave me hangin'. Gritting her teeth, Pacifica gave him a hand slap. Back in the gift shop, Mabel asked Wendy, slow, isn't it? Gettin' bored there? Hey, I'll watch the counter for you if you'd like to take a break. Wendy, never one to turn down such an offer, gave her a thumbs up. Thanks, Mabes. I would like to stretch my legs and get a snack. Be back in a couple hours. Then it was quick work to hit the no sale tab, pop out the drawer, and peel off the tape. The real problem was finding time to do the rest of it. Sporadic tourists came wandering into the museum and the gift shop. Melody came through making a list of things to restock. Abuelita came in and vacuumed and talked to them about her telenovelas and the new women's club she and Gideon Gleeful's mother had recently formed. Its badge was a brass vacuum cleaner. And Seuss led groups of tourists in from the museum and pitched the merch, as he'd learned to call it from Grunkle Stan. Pacifica and Mabel rang up the sales and explained to Seuss that they were just covering for Wendy for a few minutes. Finally, though, the afternoon lull came. Wendy returned and thanked them by giving them a bag of Mabel's favorite candies, and they were able to duck into the hallway and up the stairs to the second floor, then to the attic. Properly speaking, the storage closet opened in the wall to the left just at the top of the stair. The attic room that Mabel and Dipper had shared was a few steps across the landing. Mabel quickly unlocked all 3 locks, including a padlock. They opened the door and saw the rolled-up carpet propped inside against the wall. A lot of other junk cluttered the closet. It was long, running back for 10 or 12 feet, but the ceiling was sharply slanted and the closet was only about 6 feet wide. Okay, let's do it, Pacifica said. They hauled out the carpet, unrolled it on the landing, and she asked, now what do we do? Mabel explained, just shuffle our feet on it, then touch each other. It hits you like a static electricity shock. Ew. Come on. It doesn't hurt much. They shuffled around in a circle. Now, Mabel said. High five. Slap. Crack. Mabel sat up, looking stunned. Or Mabel's body did. Pacifica's body asked, so how'd it go, Pacifica? Oh. My. God. She held up her hands, then pulled out the sweater and stared down at the applique of a pink pig. I'm you. Let's get this thing rolled up and stashed away before somebody finds us, Mabel said. Pacifica wailed, be careful. Don't get dust on my clothes. The 2 girls rolled the carpet back up, tied it with twine, and stuffed it back into the closet. I'm gonna close the door and hang the padlock again, but I won't lock it, Mabel said. Look, if I boost you up, can you unscrew that one light bulb? Dipper'll think it burned out, and he's way too lazy to replace it. That'll keep him from noticing the padlock's not really closed. Let me boost you, she said. I think this body's stronger than mine is. But that was no good, they couldn't reach the bulb. Mabel went into the attic bedroom and came back with a tall wooden chair. Hold this steady, she said, and she climbed onto the chair bottom, then up the ladder rungs of the back, until she could reach up and unscrew the bulb. Ow! Hot, hot, hot. Don't burn my fingers. Got it. Darkness fell, not complete because of the light from downstairs and from the triangular attic window, but losing the light made the attic landing gloomy. Mabel clambered down and replaced the chair. As the two girls headed downstairs, Dipper came hustling in and started up, 2 steps at a time. He stopped when he noticed them. Hi, Pacifica. Hello, Sir Dipping Sauce. He blinked. Sir, Mabel, don't tell Pacifica about all the silly names you call me. Mabel blinked at him. Oh, forgive me, brother. I won't make that mistake again. Dipper shook his head. You are freaking me out, sis. Pacifica said, Dipper, we were just looking for you. We wanted to see if you might want to do something. Maybe play a round of mini-golf on the course we made? Not right now, Dipper said. I want to make some notes in my journal. Pacifica shrugged. Cool beans. Mind if we get the golf clubs and balls? They're under your bed. No, wait, how did you know where they are? Mabel said, don't get mad at Pacifica, brother dear. I told her. Dipper closed his eyes. Fine. Go get the clubs and the golf balls and clubs. And please, Mabel, don't give me any more of this weirdness. Mabel started to speak, but Pacifica nudged her, and they got the clubs and the balls and went out as Dipper settled down with his journal. Wendy was away from the counter, and nobody was in the gift shop, so Mabel, in Pacifica's body, quickly replaced the keys. The girls played 9 holes of mini-golf, but they were so excited that they paid no attention to keeping score. They exchanged vital information. Pacifica gave Mabel the code for unlocking her phone, and Mabel made Pacifica practice calling Dipper bro and told her about Dipper's ticklish spots in case of emergency. While this was going on, Waddles meandered over and Mabel insisted that Pacifica had to pet him and showed her how to scratch his ears the way he liked. Waddles didn't seem to notice any difference, which they took as a good sign. As they golfed, the girls took turns instructing each other on how to behave. In Mabel's body, Pacifica said, oh, please. I think I can fool Dipper. But remember, Mabel told her, you're sleeping in the guest room, past the stairway on the first floor, then second door on the left, now. I stopped sharing the attic room with Dipper last month. Why? Mabel gave her a mischievous grin. I think you'll find out tomorrow. I could get used to this, thought Mabel, or Mabel in Pacifica's body. I mean, it was Mabel's mind, but, oh, screw it. Look, this is hard enough, right? So from now on, whenever there's a character whose mind is in a different body, expect to see this, is Mabel as Pacifica, is Pacifica in Mabel's body. And, I don't know, might be Seuss in Waddles' body again, except Melody would probably kill him. Anyhow. Had the thought as the Northwest butler, Pacifica had told her his name was Wellington, chauffeured her in the family limo. You are rather late, Miss Pacifica, he said. Your father is already home, said, oh, thanks, Mr. Wellington. I'll be glad to see him. Wellington glanced into the rearview mirror, but his eyes were always so squinted that wasn't sure he was taking a peek at her. Please, Miss Pacifica, it's just Wellington. Do not prefix it with Mr. I must remember my place. And, if you will permit the observation, Miss, I am not sure you will be glad to see Mr. Northwest. He is rather put out with you at the moment. Huh? Why? Well, miss, you have been, I believe my grandmother would have said gallivanting quite a bit. Galla who? Going about and enjoying yourself, the butler said. Hobnobbing with your acquaintances, such as Miss Mabel. Look, Welly, let's get this straight, Mabel Pines is super. She's my bestest BFF. The eyebrows rose, though the eyes did not open. Indeed, miss? Then you don't mind defying your father's wishes by seeing her? Heck, no! Very quietly, with the ghost of a smile, Wellington said, bully for you, miss. He chuckled and almost whispered, Welly. I must say I quite like that. When they arrived at the Northwest farmhouse, this was the first time had actually seen it. Wellington held the door for her and then hurried to open the front door. "Chin up, Miss Pacifica," he murmured. "Remember, Mr. Northwest is your father and deserves respect," but, he leaned close, "never buckle under." "Got it, Welly. You're sweet." The old man actually blushed. Had stepped into a long hall. From Pacifica's description, she knew that the living room was to her left, the formal living room to her right. Beyond that were the library, music room and a small office, formal dining room from which the kitchen, pantry, and wine room opened. Halfway to the dining room, a stairway led up to the second floor, where Pacifica's bedroom was. As she closed the door, heard Preston Northwest's peeved voice coming from the office. "Pacifica Elise Northwest. Is that you?" "Yup," she called back cheerfully. Mr. Northwest appeared in the office doorway, scowling at her. "Pacifica, you know the rules. You have 1 hour a day scheduled for free playtime. You have missed your music lesson, your French lesson, your etiquette lesson, and for what?" "For fun, Dads," she said, grinning. "For fun. For fun? Wait, what did you call me, young lady?" Had a fit of giggles. "Dads." "I wouldn't call you young lady. That would be creepy." Unless you have a secret to tell me, maybe?" "You will address me as father or as sir," Northwest said, his face turning purple. "Now, young lady, you are confined to your room until dinner time. Go there and spend the next 3 hours thinking about what you have done." "Okay, but, Dads, I mean father? Why are you so upset all the time?" He glared at her. "That is my business." "Mud flaps?" Northwest looked as if his head were about to explode. "Yes. No. I mean, young lady, go to your room." "Dear, what's wrong?" Looked at the stairway. Pacifica's mother, Priscilla Northwest, was coming down the stair. She was dressed informally, a loose yellow silk top, tan slacks, white flats, but groomed impeccably, as always. Preston Northwest stepped into the hall. "Priscilla, it's your daughter. Her behavior has absolutely gone to hell since we lost our money. You try to talk some sense into her." "I give up." He spun and stalked back into the office, slamming the door behind him. "Oh, dear," Priscilla sighed. "Pacifica, what have you done?" Said, "Mom, I just went over to visit Maple Pines and we hung out and played some mini-golf and had a good time. And, Father is upset because I missed my dumb old lessons." "It's summer, Mom. School is supposed to be out." "Come up to my dressing room, dear," Priscilla said. Followed her. The room surprised her. 2 big windows, lots of light, a dressing table with Hollywood-style lights around it, 2 lines of them, 1 daylight, 1 artificial, a whole chest full of makeup, a compact love seat upholstered in fabric with a butterfly print, and a matching armchair. Priscilla Northwest settled into the armchair and patted the love seat. Sat there. "Come, darling," Mrs. Northwest said in a faintly scolding tone. "Posture." "Oh, yeah." Shifted from her usual casual sprawl into an upright position on the love seat, back straight, chin lifted, legs crossed at the ankles. "Better?" "So much better, darling." Priscilla smiled. "Pacifica, you know your father is working hard to rebuild the family fortune. We're worth only about 1/3 of what we were a year ago. He feels the humiliation. He's a man, and men are competitive," said, "well, he wants me to be competitive, too. He practically ordered me not to come home last year if I lost that stupid golf match." "It's a Northwest trait," Pacifica's mother said. "Yeah, well, so are lying and cheating and treating people like dirt." "Pacifica!" "You know it's true," took a deep breath and forced herself to sound calmer. "Mom, why is Dad so tense?" "I mean, I know he's working hard, but we have enough money, don't we?" "I think we do," Mrs. Northwest admitted. "But he doesn't." He'll drive himself to an ulcer or a heart attack. The problem, you see, dear, is that sales of mud flaps are level. There's only so much to be made. We have enough money to maintain our present scale of living, but Preston wants to live in a mansion again, with lots of servants, not just 3. He wants to be the leading millionaire in the state again, not number 204. So he's really working himself to death to find new ways of promoting his product. It isn't easy, nodded solemnly. Mom, how about me helping him? How? Mrs. Northwest asked with an indulgent smile. I want to think about it. Could I get some art supplies? Sketch pads, pencils, gum erasers, a set of color markers with yummy fruit scents? Dear, we have all those in your art room. Oh, right, struck herself on the forehead with the heel of her hand. Doy. I forgot for a moment. Art room, art room. Mom? Remind me where the art room is. Are you all right? I hit myself pretty hard there, chortled, but cut herself off when she saw how Pacifica's mother was staring at her. I'd just like your company, added contritely. Mom, we don't spend enough time together. Oh, come along, dear. The art room was just across the hall from Pacifica's bedroom. Though it was full of light, gathered up the materials and decided to take them to the bedroom. She always did her best sketching stretched out on the bed, or sometimes hanging upside down off the bed and reaching back over her head to draw. That had produced most of the art in her surrealist period. She had a whole set of markers, and she began to scribble to make sure none of them were dry. Pacifica's mother, standing in the doorway, said, Dear? Why are you using your left hand? Paused for a moment, then said, Because I want to learn how to be ambidextrous. Mabel's brother Dipper is ambidextrous, and it's so cool. Little privacy now, Mom, so my muse can fire me up? Very well, dear, Mrs. Northwest said with a worried little smile. Don't hit yourself in the head again, though, walked straight into the attic room without knocking, as Mabel had advised her to do. Dipper lay on his bed, clicking a pen like crazy, his lips pursed in thought as he frowned at a big book balanced on his bent knees. Said, So what's happening, bro? Nothing, really, Dipper said. According to Ford's second journal, there should be a colony of spider monkeys in the woods, but so far I haven't tracked them down. I'm just trying to figure out where they might be hiding. Came over and sat at the head of the bed, next to Dipper's pillow. He had to scoot over a little to make room for her. Ugh. Why would you want to find a bunch of smelly old monkeys, anyway? Spider monkeys, he corrected. And these aren't ordinary South American spider monkeys, but animals that are part monkey and part spider. If only Ford had provided a map or even sketched them, but I'm determined to locate their colony and photograph them, and then, wait, what? Smelly old monkeys? Mabel, have you gone crazy? You love all animals, the smellier the better. Remember when you smuggled the skunk into your closet back home? Oh. Yeah, right, said with an uneasy chuckle. Well, but monkeys in a zoo are one thing, right? Monkeys in real life, I've heard they, fling poo and junk. You've done that, too, Dipper muttered, going back to clicking his pen. Heck, I'll try another part of the woods tomorrow. So how did your day with Pacifica go? Oh, fabulous. You're being sarcastic, Dipper said. No, really, felt a little nervous, but went on. We played a couple of games in the arcade, sort of bummed around and talked, and then played some mini-golf on that course we made beside the Mystery Shack. It's really a lot of fun. Very creative. That's modest, since you designed it, Dipper said dryly. He slammed the journal shut. Ag! Great Uncle Ford, why didn't you sketch in a little map, at least? You could call him and ask. Except I don't want to bother him. He and Stan are in Glass Shard Beach this week, visiting our great-grandparents' graves, remember? The trip they had to postpone? Oh. Ah, right. After a few moments of silence, asked, "So, how do you really feel about Pacifica, Dipper? You hate her, right?" Dipper had started chewing on his pen. He nearly bit it in half and spat it out. "What? No. I like her," couldn't keep the smile off her face or the relief out of her voice. "You do? Really?" She'd be so glad to hear that. "I told her so, back at the dance. Remember? You should, because you made so much fun of how awkward I was dancing with her." "Oh, well, yes, but I'll bet she didn't even care about that. We sort of talked about you, and I know she likes you. A lot. She had a crush on me, yes. But I just don't like her in the same way, that's all. I mean, in some ways she's a really neat person and she's a lot of fun when she's just being herself, but Mabel, she deserves a guy who's been raised to know how to dance and what fork to use and all that stuff. I really like her as a friend, and she's good deep down when the Northwest crust flakes off, but, well, you can't decide who you're gonna feel romantic about, that's all." "Oh," murmured, Dipper, "I'm sure Pacifica could teach you how to dance better. And how to dress and which fork to use. Those aren't important things, really. They don't matter as much as." "Mabel? What's wrong?" "Huh? Oh, I don't know. I'm just feeling sort of off, I guess. Yeah, Wendy told me that would happen from time to time." You really like Wendy, don't you?" Dipper sighed. "You know I do. If we could get over this thing she has about being too old for me, it'd be so great. By the time I start to college, it won't matter all that much, but right now, it weirds her out, you know?" Dipper sighed. Any advice from Mabel Land on how to handle that fought down a mean impulse to say nasty things about the red-headed lumberjack's daughter. After all, she reminded herself, Wendy jumped on one of those horrible eyeball bats and petrified some of Bill's hench creatures. And she came right into the pyramid, trying to save my family and everybody else in Gravity Falls. She has smarts and skills I'll never have. But she's not as beautiful as some other girls. Carefully, said out loud, "Well, little brother, I'd just keep it way casual for now. Let her think it over. In fact, let her make the first move, you know? Why are you scowling like that?" "Little brother," he said, giving her an icy, angry glare. "You know I hate that." Blinked. "What?" "But Mabel said, I thought that was your favorite nickname ever." "Ooh. She'll pay for this." "Who?" Never mind, hopped off the bed and stormed out, leaving a puzzled Dipper wondering just what was wrong with his twin sister. Mabel had confided in Wellington, "I make these mistakes with forks and things, and father always is unhappy with me." "That is not a problem, Miss Pacifica," the butler said. "Just watch me closely as I serve." And sure enough, when Wellington set the salad course before her, he silently pointed at a fork. When the soup came, he indicated the right spoon. And he had also given her a piece of advice: watch Mrs. Northwest, and do as she does. Mr. Northwest had her schooled in elegant manners before he married her. So she got through the evening meal without a slip, though she did make one mistake when she said, "Father, about your business," Preston said coldly, "Pacifica, we do not discuss such things over dinner. And children should never initiate a conversation. While we're at the table, you will speak when you are spoken to." "Do you understand?" whispered "Yes, father." For the rest of the meal she didn't speak a word. But when Wellington had taken away the dessert dishes and Preston had stood up and Priscilla did the same, asked, "Father, now that dinner is over, may I speak to you? Do you want to begin by apologizing for your waste of your tutor's time and my money?" Preston returned sharply. Looked at the floor. "Yes, father. I'm sorry I was thoughtless." "Then come into the living room and tell me what you have to say." "Just a minute." The Northwest stared as hopped off her chair and dashed into the hall and up the stairs. She heard Preston saying resentfully, "She must get this from your side of the family." When she brought all the stuff she had prepared to the living room, she found Preston and Priscilla Northwest sitting side by side on the sofa. He was still looking fiercely unhappy, and Pacifica's mom was looking a little frightened. Her smile flickered like an unspoken apology of her own dying on her lips. "Okay," said, setting up an easel and putting a stack of papers on it. "Father, I've been thinking about what you said. Sales of mud flaps are flat, right? Like this graph." She took off the top sheet of sketch paper, revealing a straight red horizontal line drawn across the next. "Well, what would you say if I told you that next year's sales could look like this?" She dramatically snatched away the straight line graph. Behind it a green line curved up from the left to the top right corner, like a lopsided grassy smile. "Up, up, up." Preston sighed. "Pacifica, please." "Tut tut tut tut," said. "Of course you want to ask how are we going to inspire a wild burst of mud flap buying. I'm going to tell you the 3 secrets that will spell your success. It's actually spelled with 3 W's, success has no W in it. Priscilla, first thing tomorrow call that private school and withdraw Pacifica. We're going to get tutors, Dad, I mean Father, pleaded, I'm not being literal." "It's a mnemonic." "A what?" Preston asked suspiciously. "You just made up that word." "I did not. It's a word that my buddy Dipper Pines uses. It means something that helps you remember. Like the rainbow colors in order from outside to in are Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, and violet." Preston muttered the name and then his eyebrows went up. "Has anybody copyrighted or trademarked that idea?" he asked eagerly. "It's public domain," Father said, drooping a little. This was proving harder than she thought it would be. "Anywho, just remember the 3 W's as we go through this presentation: welcoming, warm, and wired." "I don't understand." Impatiently, hopped onto the sofa beside him and reached out to pooch his cheeks. "Welcoming. Warm. Wired." As she hopped down, Preston turned to his wife and said in a shocked voice, "She touched me." "Aren't you going to do anything?" "SHH, Priscilla said. I think you should listen to your daughter." "But she actually touched me." "And she's the one who held hands with the hillbilly," said Dad. "You can sterilize your cheeks later. Right now, pay attention. I'm trying to help you grow your business. And increase your profits," Priscilla's mom added. Preston took a deep breath. "All right. Go on with your nonsense." "And it isn't Dad, it's F.A., said pleadingly, "I've always had a father. But I've always wanted a dad." While Preston's face screwed up in an effort to understand the difference, tore off the sheet to reveal the next sketch. It was a series of cartoons of mud flaps, each one with a picture on it. At the top of the sheet was the all-caps word welcoming. It had been scratched through and below it was welcoming. "Now," said, "to date, all your mud flaps have been the same, black polyurethane with the green NW logo on them. Does that welcome you? Huh? Does it spread out its big old arms and say, 'Come to me, little trucker'? I think not. But look at these." She produced a pointer. "Number 1, with easy computer technology, we can make inserts. They'll quickly and permanently attach to precast round holes in the center of the flaps. And they can be individualized. A trucker can have a picture of a girlfriend or boyfriend. A father trucker can have a photo of his kids. A mother trucker, Pacifica," roared Mr. Northwest. "Watch your language." "Anyway," went on, "you get the idea. Who could resist the welcoming look of a loved one on a set of mud flaps? Sure, it'll add a little bit to the cost, but we can boost the price to cover that. We'll call these Northwest's welcomes and it'll be a premium line." "I think she has something," Priscilla murmured. Preston's eyes narrowed. Yes. Yes. Long-haul truckers are notoriously sentimental. It has merit. Have you done a cost-benefit analysis? Spread her arms. What am I, an economist? Dad, you have people who can do that for you. Let me go on to warm. Very well. Proceed. She tore off the sheet. The warm page had sketches of the mud flap factory and of very strange-looking animals. Now, currently, your factory is discharging toxic chemicals into the water daily, causing extreme mutations in animals. There are cows with 8 legs, bears that are mostly made up of bare heads. Stop right there. The Environmental Protection Agency representatives that I bribed found no link, father. Oh, very well. What's your idea? We project an image of Northwest Mud Flaps as a warm and caring organization that protects the environment. But we can't do that because money. SH. I estimate that a water treatment facility added to our factory will diminish profits by only 5%, and the boost we get from the welcome line and the positive publicity from being the warm mud flap facility will cause a 50% rise in profits. Net effect, more money. You're finally talking sense, Preston said. Good money. I mean good girl. Now are you ready for the crown jewel? Here we go. This will blow your socks off. The last sketch was headed wired. All right, said, holding up both hands. Close your eyes, close 'em, and picture the welcome line of mud flaps, made in a warm, eco-friendly factory. Now, instead of putting pictures in the circular openings of the flaps, think of putting a Wi-Fi hotspot in. That, said Preston Northwest, is insane. Is it? Is it? Is it? Asked. Every truck on the road can make Wi-Fi available all over the country if it sports a pair of Northwest wired mud flaps. I know an inventor who can design them. They'll keep a constant signal level for anyone within range. And, Dad, here's the beauty part, we can create the Northwest wired web. And we can charge users for it. Say that beautiful word again, Preston said. Charge 'em. Preston wiped a tear from his eye. My little girl. Look, said, everybody wants to have internet access at all times, even on the road. We charge a subscription fee, and maybe even a connection fee, not high, maybe a quarter for half an hour or something. But it will mount up. Now, we take the initial subscription fee as ours. We give each trucker 10 cents of all the connection charges. We keep 15 cents. And here's my estimate of how much we'll make in just 1 year. She tore off the last sheet but one, and the very last one read $zillions of dollars. Oh, Preston murmured. Pacifica, from now on, you may call me Dad. After dinner. In private only. No more than once a day. Thank you, Father, said. She grinned as she thought, wait till Pacifica gets a load of how her dad has changed. And meanwhile, back in the mystery shack. It was so tempting. The thought had come to Pacifica in the night, as she struggled towards sleep in Mabel's bed, in Mabel's strange nightshirt, in the creaking, crackling, popping old mystery shack. What if Wendy Corduroy told Dipper she'd never love him? What if Wendy changed from being so easygoing and laid back to being, well, sarcastic and sort of cruel and belittling? Ha! Belittling. That would break up Dipper's hope for a romance real fast. I'll get back at Mabel for telling me to be sure to call him little brother. I don't know how, but I'll get back at her, ag. Wait a second. That's how I used to think, back before the ghost and the never mind about all that stuff and before seeing Dipper again this summer and feeling my heart beat faster and realizing OMG, I'm like totally smitten. He doesn't think I'm that kind of a person. But, if Wendy were that kind of a person. It's so totally tempting. The next morning Melody woke her up way too early, 7 o'clock, Mabel. Ag sat up in bed, wondering what the strange smell was. Nobody gets up there's a pig in the room. It's only Waddles, Melody said. You know how unhappy he is when you don't play with him first thing. Waddles looked as if he could feel about as unhappy as a slab of potted ham could. He grunted and nosed around the floor. Thanks, Melody said. What's for breakfast? Susa's abuelita has made chilaquiles. Hurry! Dipper's already eating. Dipper got out of bed, reluctantly scratched Waddles' ears, and then took a very hot shower. She couldn't understand how Mabel ever did anything with that thick brown hair of hers. She finally tied it back into a kind of ponytail, and then she pulled on skirt, sweater, and shoes. She followed her nose to the dining room, where a smiling abuelita sing-songed good morning, and set down a hot plate of what looked like tortilla triangles, strips of chorizo sausage, a red sauce, and, crowning it all, a poached egg. Dipper sat at the table, nose in a book, shoveling food into his mouth with absent-minded nom-nom-nom sounds. "Good morning," Dipper said. "And here is some juice," Abuelita murmured, setting down a glass of orange juice. Mabel would thank her. "Thank you very much," said. "De nada, chica." The old woman bustled back to the kitchen. "Dipper." "I said good morning." "Oh, hi, Mabel." "I think today I'll try the eastern bank of the river. There are a lot of big trees there, good monkey country." "You want to come?" "No, I don't think so," closed her eyes and took a bite of the foreign breakfast. "Hey, this is pretty good." "Ha. You told me grape-scented stickers were good." Look, Dipper, I'm sorry I made fun of you. I shouldn't have called you little." "Oh, it's okay," Dipper said, pushing his empty plate back. "I mean, I've grown like half a foot since last year. I shouldn't complain. Of course you are still taller than me, but only by a millimeter." "Yeah." He tilted his head. "Are you okay?" "Just a little down, I guess." Waddles came wandering in and looked up hopefully. Dipper asked, "Aren't you going to give him a tortilla chip?" "Huh? Oh, sure." With finger and thumb, she gingerly picked one up. "Here you are, Waddles." She dropped it, and he fielded it before it had a chance to hit the floor. "Have fun looking for your monkey spiders." "Oregon spider monkeys," he said. "I'm not going out right away. I think I'll wait until Wendy comes in. I always like to say hi to her. I'll be in my room." He left the table and she heard him climbing the steps up to the attic room. Moodily, ate a little of the breakfast, feeding about half of it to Waddles. When he munched a piece of chorizo, she muttered, "Cannibal," in an accusing voice. She leaned her elbow on the table and her cheek on her hand as she watched the pig nose around for any overlooked fragments of food. And, darkly, she thought, Wendy, Wendy, Wendy.